Hey guys, this here is Getaway Driver 101, and today I'm going to be giving y'all an explanation on maintenance and proper malware checking. If you're running mods, if you're running high intense games, if you're somebody like how I am that you use Discord, you use, let's say, CurseForge or other modding platforms, Steam Workshop, whatnot. And let's say after so often you had your computer for so long, you start suspecting that there's an issue with it, or it's running slow, or it's having a problem, or it's got some weird glitches, and you don't quite get why it's doing what it's doing. It's not necessarily blue screening, but it's not necessarily like, hopefully, it's not crashing. If it's crashing, that could be a sign of malware infection. If it's blue screening, that could be a sign of uh, binary corruption, which could be memory or could be infection. I suggest running the Windows Memory Diagnosis tool if that finds absolutely nothing wrong with the computer and you're still getting blue screens. I would turn around and go create you a new Windows USB stick, have all your apps and stuff. So what that will do is it will basically like restore registries. It will restore um, any systems that were missing. Hopefully, there's nothing missing that got deleted. Hopefully, you didn't download anything that was malicious that caused it. So, let's go ahead and move on with how to check. So, the easiest way, we're going to start simple, is Process Explorer. You can go download it from Microsoft. You can search it up on YouTube. They have a 1 hour video by Microsoft that are about um, Sentinel suits. So you just go download it from Microsoft. You can either have it as a zip file or a process file, however you want to do it. There's a few different versions of it. You got the Process Explorer model, the Auto Runs model, and then the um, TCP View model. TCP View model lets you look at listening ports, look at listening functionalities, um, looking at addresses or loopbacks, making sure that none of those are compromised. um, So we're going to go ahead and start with Sentinel Process Explorer. This one here I recommend to beginners or people that really don't know much about computer software, or maybe people that really absolutely don't like touching their software because they're afraid that they might damage it. This is a good functional use to your advantage to find problems, verify if it's an infection, verify if it's a compromised issue, if you're under attack, if you're compromised. Um, Nobody likes finding that out, but it's something to know that this is a good program. This program here will let you look at everything that involves engine wise on what's going on. So let's say we look at NVIDIA, which is interesting because this was recently something that was infected. Um, what happened is it updated to the newer NVIDIA driver. The driver was vulnerable. As soon as I updated to the new driver, I didn't get no detections from the actual security. I got a pop up about came up on the side of the corner, but it wasn't in the actual notification logs. The notification logs were blank. No notifications found on that timeline, that date, nothing. And it was kind of strange. So I started looking through some things. Like, okay. Well, NVIDIA Overlay had a what is known as Love 1999 Love virus. I have a video on. The microphone for that is kind of horrible. It's not a good microphone. The Love virus or Love worm. It is a worm that tries to replicate into a clicking attachment or tries to be an email. Either one. So what ends up happening is if you click on it, it tries to pose as, let's say, Like for me, it said "I love you" by Microsoft. You have 40% off on all products. Click here now. And it was grayed out with the actual grayed out Windows 11 prompts and everything else, like how you see my Process Explorer. And I was like, huh. I was like, that looks legit, but it's not. And I knew as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's not normal. Game engines and anti-cheat engines. So the anti-cheat engines were causing I guess a glitch between the driver and the applications. So it was getting like a trip mine detection on Google antivirus, that it was I Love You virus 1999 edition with 189 whatever it is, like a bunch of string of numbers after it. And it was the same title name for the 1999 virus that took over nearly 30 million computers. I mean, it was bad. It nearly took down almost 8% to 15% of the global network in 1999. I mean, that's a pretty good hit on the global internet. So we're going to move on from Process Explorer. Now that you see that it connects to Virus Total, the way that that works is going to be up here in System Tray. It's been a minute since I messed with System Tray. So yeah, you're just going to do Virus Total image signatures, virustotal.com, check, submit unknown executables. You can also check mark that if you want. So yeah, as long as you have this check marked and this check marked, it will check everything. It's a very nice tool to have though if you feel if you're infected or you have a malicious application in the background or something malicious going on that you're not aware of. It's a good tool to check your engines. And now I'm going to prove a concept to y'all. This is my game list for this here. I have more games than this, but I would have to open up all my other apps and stuff. I don't feel like doing that. But the point to it is I have roughly about, I'm going to say 30 games, 40-ish games on this computer. And I have no issues with any of them. I run 150, 250 frames depending on the game. Some of them, up like Minecraft, 350 frames. You know, I can run high frame rate. Now, does that mean you should run high frame rate? I recommend using a frame lock to limit frame rate access so you're not. What Process Explorer can do, you can also string out properties. You can go through properties in memory and things like that. You can go through and see what's communicating to what. If you suspect that there is a random communication that should not be happening. Now, something else I recommend checking if you still feel as if there's something malicious going on, but none of your engines are detecting it. Let's say it only runs once, and it only runs one time. Let's say it only runs one time, and you never see it after that. Let's say you just turned on your computer, and as soon as the computer was boop, boop, those are harder to find. Those are harder to detect. And those can still cause interference with things. Those are called run once programs or run once malware. Not necessarily always malware. Sometimes it can be bloatware. Sometimes it can be, just bloatware. Usually bloatware or malware. Usually it's one or the other when it comes to run once stuff. Bloatware usually is not necessarily a bad thing. It could have been something that you installed that you wanted. If it's booting up on boot up, you just need to go to Task Manager and disable it in Task Manager on startup, which is not hard to do. Just go to Task Manager, go to Startup Programs, and left click on the one that you're wanting to disable and click Disable. Simple as that, and it will change your boot up times and everything. Now, I do recommend disabling everything in Startup on Task Manager, and the reason for this is Task Manager, if you disable everything in startup, you get a higher boot time, a faster boot time. Just make sure you leave your security enabled and make sure you leave any graphical programs enabled, like Intel or if you have AMD graphic processing command center or whatnot, make sure those are still left enabled. When it says non-measured, it necessarily doesn't mean it doesn't understand how badly it's going to impact. So whatever you do, it'd be better to disable it if it doesn't know the impact level. Unless it's graphical. Graphical is going to say not measured because it's going to be instant. It's going to be immediate as soon as the screen goes boop. So that's something to keep in mind. Startup programs can also eat at everything. So now that you know that your startup programs are okay, or you've downloaded Process Explorer and you know that that's okay, we're going to move on to the next program. So the next program is going to be CPU ID Hardware Monitor. You can go download this from their website or Microsoft or other websites. They have like 3 websites that have this, and then I believe it's on Microsoft Store. So this lets you look at your run hours, your time spent, your health status for SSDs or memory. You can also look at your hertz frequencies, your temperatures. I recommend leaving this like it is. Open it. Go play a game. If, let's say, your game is what's causing the issues, you're getting random blue screens, crashes, glitches, whatever, more than likely then you need to do a performance run with HW Hardware Monitor so you can see if it's a voltage issue. If you're dropping below 4.5 from 5, anything below 4.5 you're going to crash. Anything below 11.5 you're going to crash. Anything below a 3 even, you're going to crash. So that's something to keep in mind, that your voltages have to stay stable with your motherboard. So if your voltages are kind of going up and down like a roller coaster, that could indicate you have a power supply problem. So just keep that in mind. Now, hopefully it's not that. Hopefully everything is normal. As you can see, my system load says it's usually using 27% right now, which is because I got OBS running on high priority, the highest priority possible for the cleanest voice possible, because I know people like to be able to hear people. I also got a better mic. So now we're going to move on to the next program. So the next program is Revoke Uninstaller. Revoke Uninstaller is for, let's say you find a program that is malicious, you can't remove it gives you access denied, or a file that is not supposed to exist on Windows and you know it's not supposed to be there and it's causing interference, it's causing issues. Let's say you run it through virustotal.com, which is a good website. If you run it through virustotal.com and VirusTotal says that it's got malicious intent and 75 engines detect it, and the file does not run and it's not in Process Explorer because it's a file and it's not running live, it's not an engine, it's not a driver, it's just a upload it to VirusTotal to see if it's legit, to see if it's correct. If VirusTotal is reading it correct, then you probably need to find a way to remove it or contact Microsoft support or an IT specialist team. I would try using Revoke Uninstaller first. So what you do is you boot up Revoke Uninstaller. Revoke Uninstaller will start up. Revoke Uninstaller, you can get the free version. I recommend the free version for people who really don't know much about security and IT. This will let you remove any program down to the Windows app level. So you can remove Windows functionalities with this. So just keep that in mind, that it can damage your Windows and result in you having to reinstall Windows if you don't know what you're doing. So I recommend going to Tools. You're going to go to Auto Manager or Auto Run Manager, and this here is letting you look at registries. This is what's running and not running as actual functioning registries right now. Registries that are going to run as main priority registries are going to be an Auto Run Manager. Now, main Auto Run Manager will let you delete registries from the actual computer itself. In return, it may set off your security. So just keep that in mind. If you delete your run once registries, let's say you have open binary, which my mother and father's computer had. and it's a brand new computer. There's nothing wrong with open binary, but it was strange that a brand new computer had open binary for a run once protocol. Now, I went ahead and pulled the location, pulled the file, ran the file through a few things. The file could not be detected by anything. It was too large to be able to be ran through a antivirus engine, but it was only a kilobit file, which was strange. So I went ahead and launched the file because I knew that I had Malwarebytes. I went ahead and started up Malwarebytes. I went ahead and started up a few other programs, kind of just create some noise. Started up Malwarebytes, SFC scan, and disk check, and then turn around and removed it. It set off security, Windows Defender. Malwarebytes missed it. Windows Defender caught it on behavior pattern. It was a severity rate for Windows Defender spyware tampering. It attempted to try to reinstall itself after being removed, so the computer blocked it and seen it as malicious, because when you remove something that's a one runts protocol, it's going to attempt to reinstall itself during the removal. And when it does that, there's two things that are going to happen. It's either one, it's going to succeed and it's going to come back. And when it comes back, it's going to come back with more friends and more malware, because that's what they do. They'll call one and call the other. Or it will succeed, detect it, delete it, it'll be gone, vanish, and then you turn around and run evidence remover afterwards, which evidence remover is going to go through all the binary in the computer. I've definitely should be very cautious about how much you're putting load on it at once, because you don't want to blow your hard drive up if you're running a disk drive, because evidence remover will run for about 8 to 10 hours. SSDs can handle evidence remover. It does not harm the hard drives, but it does state that it is basically a cleaning mechanism. It checks the drives, the types of evidence you want to delete. Already deleted the data. Warning: process is completed. It will be impossible to recover the deleted files. Down here, this tool will permanently erase files, folders which already have been deleted. Okay, so right here, which already have been deleted, but are leftovers on your hard drive. No matter what tool you or somebody else tries to use to recover the data, the result will be the same. Nothing will be able to be recovered. The data erased with evidence remover is impossible to recover. So this is literally only use this if you suspect that you're infected. Okay, so let's say you find the infection, you remove the infection with Process Explorer, so we're kind of bouncing back 3 steps. Comes up clean, but you find a once runs registry. Well, the one runs registry sets off your security. Well, the security says that it was basically blocked and click here, delete, or quarantined unknown file, and it will give you the file name. Now, if you can't remove the file, then you can use this program here to do it, or you can go find another program to do it. There's a few of them that will let you do it. This one here is a little bit more difficult to get in and throw a specific file into. You can still throw a specific file into this one. It's just a little bit more difficult to do. It'd be hunter mode is where you would go look for the specific file. You would have to find it first and then use hunter mode to grab it. So from there, evidence remover, once you launch it, you got about 8 to 10 hours to wait. And that's no joke. Like, literally, you could start this at 5 in the afternoon, and it may not get done till 5 in the morning. So keep that in mind if you truly think the computer has an issue. I've ran this twice on my computer before. It has solved problems. It has fixed local disk glitches where the disk have said that they were maxed out on space when they weren't. Usually when that happens, that is a result in a what is called as a data block glitch or data block corruption, depending on the SSD type and the SSD models. they could experience that once in a while. Um, Hopefully yours don't. Usually it's a once in a blue moon. They say it's like a very rare occurrence. That's why my one SSD is at 95% health, because the data block that it dropped got unassigned from Windows, and I was able to go back in and reassign it and then create a memory dump with that damaged data block. That's why there's one that's called memory dump that's only 827.11 megabytes, because that was the damaged block that somehow got unallocated from the C drive because the damaged block decided to drop some data and kind of get corrupted and lose data from Windows and corrupt Windows. That had to result me into doing a pump up upgrade to fix Windows and fix some registry glitches, which also could have resulted from the WinLove virus worm. So that's something to keep in mind. This program will let you do anything you need to do. I don't really keep any important information on this computer except games and one email. One email is tied to my phone, two-step verification, so anything happens, usually I get emailed or text messaged first. Usually. But you know how technology is nowadays, things can still happen, so it's good to do every 2 months, every 90 days, check your computer. Let's say you go from here, you find that here, you remove it, everything's done, you run all these, you run a bunch of cleanups, you run a bunch of stuff, evidence remover. Let's say you're done with that. Okay. Well, actually, let's go back into this real quick. Let me show y'all another part of this I forgot to show you. So we're going to go into tools. We're going to go to Windows tools. Okay. System file check. Check disk. Boop. Done. Simple as that. Those are now running. Then you can start the Windows software removal tool. It's good to start this up. We're also going to start this. This is going to make the computer a little angry because then it's going to have 3 things running, but that's okay to create a little bit of noise. And if it detects something, it'll be more likely to detect it. Yeah, we got a lot of things open right now. Don't mind it. It's okay. So this here is 40. This here is still checking parameters. So what this is doing is it's checking the drives to see if there's drive damage, if there's any bad sensors. If there's sensors are damaged, it will let you know that your sensors are going bad. And if they're SSD related, and it will tell you what SSD it is that's going bad. So hopefully you don't have any bad sensors. If Windows decides to let me use the Microsoft maybe. Probably when this gets done. So this might take a while. I don't know. This is okay, there it goes. So this here is a special tool. Now this here is based on Windows 7. Now what this does is it's not necessarily a physical malware tool. It's not an antivirus tool. What this is a memory malice removal tool. It's going to basically check the memory and see if the computer's on a botnet. The only way that you're going to find out if the computer's on a botnet is either one, if it's connecting to it live while you're on it, which nowadays botnets are smart enough to where they will know that the user is on the computer, so they will not touch the computer until the user steps away from it and the computer sits idle for 10-20 minutes. Then the botnet does its thing, starts kind of telling the computer, hey man, come on, let's go do this thing, bro. And the next thing you know, your computer's doing some things it shouldn't be doing on a botnet. Now, botnets are very rare. You have to be visiting some shady websites. You have to be allowing access to things that you should not be allowing access to. I mean, things happen. Mods can be a general problem to that. So what you're going to do is you're going to start this, do a full scan. Now you can do a custom scan for specific folders. Full scan, it's going to run, and it may take a minute. Now we're going to check this out. So the bad sensors and allocations, no bad sensors detected. Everything came up normal, tells you your total space, your total indexes, what's all going on in the system, how much you have left over. It basically lets you look at your timings, your speed rates. My computer on average is about 0.15 milliseconds on per file. So you know, now the lost and found is pretty interesting whenever it says lost and found. It's got some pretty interesting. Windows very smart, but it's also very simplistic too at the same time. Now you can also set up auto programs. Um, like for me, I have an auto SFC scan, automatic system file checker, that starts up automatically that I've set up. See, it says I have two detections. Those may be false flags for mods. So you won't know until it's completely 100% done. Because right now it's coming from Fortnite, and then now it's going to Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes shouldn't have anything, but you know, an antivirus engine can also make another antivirus engine angry if you're running more than one. So that's something else to keep in mind. If you're running, let's say, when you're doing all this, you want to kind of do one step at a time. Now let's say everything comes back normal, you run evidence remover, everything's been done, but the computer still feels like there's something off. Now, from there, I would be running IP checks, TCP viewer, checking to see if the computer's under attack, if it's hacked. Usually that's my last concern, is being hacked. And the reason why I say that is all right, so I'm now back. We're gonna go ahead and move on to another step while this is still doing its thing. Um, this may take a little bit longer than expected because I got a lot of files on this computer. Got a lot of games too, a lot of engines, a lot of mods. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next step. The next step is gonna be win get all. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go down here to your bar menu. You're gonna go to your search. You're gonna search up C. All right, so we are now back. So you're gonna open command prompt CMD run as administrator. Gonna left click on command prompt run as administrator. You're gonna go ahead and go down here to the Microsoft Edge, or you can just type it in. I'll be back in just a sec. Alright, so now you're going to go ahead and put in winget upgrade all. And then from there, you're going to just go ahead and hit enter. What this is going to do is going to check the entire computer for anything that's missing engines, missing versions, missing version files, any script in general that's related to any game or any engine or any graphical game, application, you name it, it will check it. That is what winget all does. It checks all applications, all engines, all versions, and all drivers for updates, which can be related to anything to be checked. I recommend doing this. This here does always, it does say that it is not responsible for anything that happens, anything that may cause damage, and that is correct. So go ahead and do this and hit yes, which is why, enter, and then it will install. Winget all will do a lot of repair. It may even fix your computer. After doing this, I recommend restarting, and in theory, your computer should be fixed. Now, if it's not, then you need to start investigating if it's still your software or if it's software and hardware. Now, if it's software and hardware, then you have misconfiguration. Misconfiguration, just go and restore all settings back to default. All settings may include Windows settings, administrator settings, those settings, BIOS update, reverting back to default, BIOS update, default, all the above, you know, anything that you need to do that involves the BIOS and making sure it's not system configuration issues. Let's say everything comes back normal, everything's fixed, but you're still getting an odd running performance machine. You could have had what is known as a Basically, like something that is comes through and it messes with the system and then leaves. And those there are known as info stealers. You may need to check your MS system configuration. Um, so the way you're going to do that is you're going to go down here, you're going to go to search, system, configurations, pull this up. Once system configuration comes up, you're going to make sure you're on normal startup. You're going to go through your boot. If you need to go to safe mode, you can make sure that it's not related to Windows, go into safe mode. But general, normal boot, normal start, these should all be selected. If you're doing selective startup, maybe move back from selective startup back to normal startup, and that should fix your issue if that's what you're experiencing. If hopefully you didn't do it, one of my friends did. He went in here and started messing with his processors. Now, malware can do this too. Malware can go in and mess with your boot options number of processor activation, or malware can go in and give you a maximum memory allocation and make it where the computer can't use any other memory. So if you experience something that's odd, abnormal with CPU usage, something that's odd or abnormal with memory usage, make sure these are not check marked. They should be unchecked so Windows can auto regulate on its own. In doing so, if Windows is auto regulating on its own, those are unchecked. Restart the computer. It should fix your issue if it was a misconfiguration bug. Those do happen sometimes from applications or malware. Hopefully, this helps you resolve your issue with your computer or anything like that. Hopefully, this showed you what you can do with Revoke Uninstaller, Process Explorer, and Command Prompt. Hope y'all enjoyed. Like or subscribe. And don't forget to run a system file checker before, you log off for the day. It's something I always recommend doing, or even do it before you start playing your games. Do it right as soon as you turn the computer on. You can use Task Scheduler to do that. Hope y'all enjoyed. Like or subscribe, and I will see y'all next time.